The Japanese camps in Topaz, Utah. I was 5 when I went in, was about 8 when we came out. And my parents were a lot of people, it's hard to imagine, but well, maybe can imagine. Anti-Japanese sentiment was just rampant, and that's the whole thing that, sent us to the camps, was this irrational fear of what was happening in the Pacific and how the Japanese were waging war and Pearl Harbor and all that. And the hatred was incredible. The ACLU, in fact, wouldn't defend any Japanese, and even the Communist Party dismissed all the Japanese American members. It was great. Somebody so-called as progressive as FDR did this, and Eleanor was against it, but she still called us Japs. Anyway, this is kind of the background. When we got out of there, and my father got a job as caretaker in this upper middle class section of Oakland, California, and it was an all-white section. And so my parents were very conscious that the children would be in kind of a hostile situation. Okay, Mitzi, I've never thought of you as Japanese, only as the best friend I've ever known since the 3rd grade when your mom and dad asked the LeConte school principal to find you a friend. It was just after the war and they thought you would be lonely without a friend. I'll do it, I said. I'll be Mitzi's friend. So ever since we were about 10, we were best friends. My mother said a funny thing. At first she told me that I shouldn't ask you over when my father was home. I couldn't figure out why, but we had to introduce you slowly. We got to be about 16 years old and we were going to spend the summer together, so my mom thought it would be a good idea for your parents to meet her and my dad because we were going to take you to Turlock, to our Turlock apricot ranch in the valley. Yes, your mom said, I'll come over to your house and cook a Chinese dinner. So I helped Mom get ready. I tidied up and set the table for you, and set the table for 4. You and I, Mitzi, would eat upstairs in the sun porch. My dad had just got off work at the naval shipyard and was hovering around. Oh, so we're having company for dinner? He asked. Yes, Mitzi's mother and father are coming over to dinner. My father's face turned dark, just like it did when he was a World War II block captain and there was an air raid drill to prepare for a Japanese invasion. I'm not sitting down to dinner with any Japs, he declared. World War II had ended 5 years earlier, but Japs were apparently still around in Berkeley. Ding dong. I ran to the front door before my father could. There was your mother and father, arms full of bags of food for dinner. Well, you and I took our dinners upstairs to eat while the grown-ups sat in the dining room. I was so nervous and sick to my stomach about how my father was going to spoil the whole thing and ruin our friendship. Then after you went home that night, my father came to me and said, I have never met such fine people in my life. Last week, more than 60 years after that home-cooked Chinese dinner, my friend Beth Paul Johnson heard someone at the front door. She could not run to answer it because she was lying in bed, sick with rectal cancer and groggy with morphine. Ding dong! Death had come to the door, arms overflowing with bags of memories. 2 gangly, mismatched girls going round and round the Oakland roller ring to the tune of the Tennessee Waltz. Movies at the United Artists Theater in Shattuck with its sweeping staircase to the balcony. The hot summers at the Turlock Apricot Ranch, swimming in the irrigation canals, waving at the boys driving by in their tractors. I made a special trip to California to see her, and she wordlessly held my hand tightly. Just 5 days after I left, Death walked in the front door and took her away. I have never met a finer friend than Beth.